Okay, I've started recording this section. So you are welcome to the IELTS reading practice section. Like I said the other time, it's just all about we having hands-on experience on how we come to apply the tips we have seen from various sources. Okay, so we are going to be running ourselves through Cambridge IELTS again. That is much more very close to the IELTS exam we are going to have on that day in terms of complexity, in terms of how they are being, it's just the people doing the test. So Cambridge IELTS 9, you might have treated this question before, but let's just walk ourselves through how we find ourselves taking which question, which answer, sorry. Then I'll be looking at test 4 and reading passage 3. I think it's reading passage 3. So Cambridge IELTS 9 test 4, reading passage 3. We'll look at that. That is from question 27 to 40. Then we can then see how much more we can do there. Okay, I'm going to share a new screen with you. Hold on. So this is what we are going to look at, just an introduction. I've taken that. We are going to review list of headings, MCQs, true, false, not given. We are going to offer some advice. We are going to take question and answer, okay? Then I'm going to leave this screen to go to So once again, this is how my screen looks like. So you can actually view both question and answer at the same time on your PC. So I think it's quite convenient this way. So this is Cambridge IELTS 9, test 4. This is test 4, reading passage 3. So first of all, the passage this one starts from question 27 to 40. So in the retest, we are supposed to spend 20 minutes on this section we are treating today. But because we want to highlight certain things, definitely we are going to spend even, if not more than 1 hour on it, okay? So just bear with me. So I'm going to make my left hand side, I'm going to make it the reading passage, okay? And I'm going to make the right my questions, okay? Can we all see the screen, please? Is it clear?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Yes, we can see.
All right.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, good. So this is question 27 to 40. Now, there are so many people who will tell you so many approaches, but you will find out what approach works best for you. So in my own view, that is in my own view, you remember that we just want to quickly answer the questions, find the answer and move on, okay? So I will advise that you read the list of headings because it's definitely come before the passage. Just quickly run through the list of headings. We are going to answer just 4 questions from here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4 questions, and we have 6 of them listed. In list of headings, the headings are the option cannot be repeated. Okay, so once you take one, it's as good as you crossing it out. Okay, and usually they would have done one for us. And in real exam, you don't want to read what has been done for you. So, like I said, you want to read through the list of headings. So commercial pressures on people in charge. So from here, you are trying to understand what this could mean, okay? But before you even read the list of headings, you can as well quickly skim through the passage. We all know it is the development of museum, the development of museum. So I can see so many people are raising their hands. Okay, can I just check what that is?
The screen is on the floor. We can't see the screen of the question.
Are you sure? So what can you see?
I can see flow,
Oh, so I've
introduction.
been talking to myself.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So you
Yeah,
should be able
I
to
can see.
see it now.
Yes, I can see now.
All right, lovely,
Thank you.
lovely. So we are looking at the development of museums. Okay, so I quickly scan through or skim through. Paragraph A has been done for me. So recently, however, attitudes, it's talked about attitude or ideas, a related development, there's sharp distinction, okay, I've seen that. We talk about theme parks, talk about what is heritage industries generally, the changes there. Then some claims to make everything real, okay, in the historical industry. Then human bias is inevitable, is unavoidable. And the last point there say this notion is induced by the bias in its representation in museum and heritage center. Which notion? If you want to find out which notion it is, you now go back by one sentence again. Let me admit people entering. Okay, good. All right, so you now go back to that. But going back to the list of headings, like I said, we have 7 lists of headings, which are, so while you are looking at this list of headings, is just for you to see what are the important points there. Commercial pressures. This could mean competition. This could mean in terms of financial gains, just like that, just for you to quickly have what it means. Then the second one says mixed views. Mixed views. Okay, so there are reactions, there are people think it should be done this way, some think it should be done, especially regarding changes. And the changes is all about museum, not theme parks. Okay, so this place says the fact, interpreting the fact to meet visitors' expectation. So what are the visitor, which paragraph talk about expectations? Is there anything like international dimension? Then they said this has been done for me, so I'm not looking at it at all. Then the differences between public attractions. Now, once I see all these words, comparative words that are used to compare certain things. So I want to pay attention that is it few in the passage, especially when you are treating true or false not given. This could change the meaning of the passage entirely. Okay. Now this talk about the of recent, current. Okay. I should have underlined this, current reviews and suggestions. Okay, so but the key thing here is reviews and suggestions. It's just current is just something I want to look out to. It's not, that means it is recently. It is of recent, not in the past. Okay, so having done that, I'm going to change this to and annotate. Okay, so I'll move on to paragraph B, which they want me to know what are they talking about here. Now, in matching of headings, you can quickly read paragraph, the first statement, the first sentence. What you are looking for is the topic sentence. In English language, there is usually a topic sentence. In any paragraph, first of all, there is just one idea in every paragraph. So that means that the paragraph is talking about just one thing, but in talking about that one thing, they might the writer might give examples, might explain, might do anything, just like you would do in your writing tasks too. You know, you give example, link things, but definitely there will be an idea you want to bring up. Sorry, I can see people raising hands. Are we okay with the flow? Are we okay with the flow? All right, I'll move on if there is no response. Are we okay with the flow? Are we together?
Yes, please
Yes,
continue, sir.
All right. Okay. Okay. Now, so in English language, there is a paragraph contain just one, not two. Once it becomes two, that is not the idea of IELTS. It's just one thing. So if there are so many things in there, you want to look for what is this thing all about. All right. Having said that, there is topic sentence that you are looking for. Most writers will put it in their opening statement, in the first statement of the paragraph. However, don't forget that this is a test of English language. They might embed it in the middle, but then one of what experienced writer does is to also put it at the end. So if you have it at at first sentence or at the last, you are likely going to get 80 to 90% of even high health topic sentences if you just focus on first and last. Then if there are pointers like these, which this means, you know, this refers to something else. They have talked about that thing. You might want to look back and see what is that thing, if that will improve your confidence in saying that I've chosen the right answer. So I'll move on to this question now. So paragraph B, it says recently. So now, don't forget that we are only doing this because it is a lesson. You are not under exam condition. Recently, however, their attitude, so attitude towards history and the way it should be presented have altered. This is the opening statement of this. Now, if you look at this whole paragraph, you are likely going to see everything they are talking about revolve around this. But if I don't know that this is it, it says, recently, however, attitude towards history and the way it should be presented have altered. Now, I come to the last one. Such development have been criticized as an intolerable, blah, 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 but the success of many historical. Now, this is not likely going to be a topic sentence, although I'm still going to give it attention because I'm dealing with list of headings. I'm just looking for the topic sentence. That is all that matters to me. There's no point in going to the middle in this one, but in case in your practice, after you have assumed that this is the topic sentence, you might want to look in, so which we are going to do today. So recently, however, attitude towards history and the way it should be presented have altered. I'm thinking this is what we are talking about. Now, they now explain the keyword in heritage display is now experience. The more exciting, the better, and if possible, blah, blah, blah. Good example of this approach, you can see, and the cited examples. Then, moving on the so-called blah, 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 they are still citing examples. So, which will present visitors with a vivid image of the period of their choice, in which they themselves can act as if part of the historical environment. Such development, blah, blah, blah. Now, Are we convinced that this is the topic sentence? Just quickly respond yes or no. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. But then you will see that we might likely, because I'm going to be answering question 27 to 40, I have circled this word recently just to be able to make it know that this is current. This is something that is happening. Okay. Now, if you look at the list, and now one thing you don't want to do is to now translate whatsoever you have in the passage, like looking for synonyms and antonyms, words that look like each other. That is not what you want to do. What you are looking for is something that has the same meaning, as this heading, not that contain the same words or synonyms as this heading. Let me repeat that. You are looking for the same meaning. So it is now best for you to even translate in Yoruba, my brother, or in your local language, and say, recently, however, attitude towards history and the way it should be presented have altered. Okay, can you tell us which one do you think is the answer here? Definitely, they are not talking about commercial pressures. Mixed views on current changes to museum. There is a mixed, they are talking about some people don't share. Don't forget that they said that the majority of the public does not share this opinion. Okay, so I can say, okay, there's a mixed view, but there is a change have altered. Am I right? Then interpreting the fact this is not it. The internet, no, nothing like that. They've done this for us. I don't need this at all. I don't need this at all. Then fewer differences between no, current reviews and suggestions. I would say that in this, even with what we have explained, you are left with probably this or this. So you now want to choose which one correspond more to this thing. Okay, you see that we're talking about changes and not suggestions. Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, we are together.
Yes, we are with you.
Okay, so you will see that all these things are very important because views are attitudes and there is a change there. The change is how we present history, how they monetize history and museum. So even if you are in doubt, you have chosen 2 or 7, it is allowed. But remember at the end of the day, for you to choose the right, make sure you cancel out 1, okay? But apparently, you will see that this is the right answer here. Mixed views on current changes to museum. But let's move on to paragraph C. Let's move on to paragraph C. I would. Are we together? Does it make sense at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in paragraph C, open by saying in related development, the sharp distinction between, so I'm going to annotate that. I'm going to annotate that. So in related development, the sharp distinction between museum and heritage sites, okay, on the one hand, okay, they put museum and heritage sites on one hand and theme parks on the other hand now is gradually evaporating. disappearing. There is no, so you give it your own meaning. It says there is no difference, no distinction between heritage and theme parks. Am I right? In related development, there is no difference between this we've talked about and theme parks. Okay, so now you now want to see that what are they talking about? They already borrowed ideas. All these ones are just, for example, you can see you don't read topic sentence is not in. For example, you move on. This particular trend is regarded as one of the major developments in the presentation of natural history in the 20th century. But anytime you see this thing, this, you know, it's a word you use to point. It's pointing to something they already discussed, okay? And that thing is the topic sentence. It's as good as saying that the disappearance of any distinction between museum and heritage site, and on the other hand, theme parks, this development is the presentation of natural history in the 20th century. Okay? Now, we have agreed that the sharp distinction, there's a difference between, the difference between heritage sites and theme parks is gradually disappearing. Okay. So, which one corresponds to that?
Six.
7.
Number 6.
Number
For
6. Number 6. You can see fewer differences between. Now, now to confuse us, somebody will say, but there is no public attractions. Yeah, but all these museum, theme parks, like we take our children to theme parks and the likes, they are public attractions. All right. So they put together that there is no difference between theme parks, blah, 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 blah. All right. Just fewer, which is correct. Okay. Yeah, moving on to paragraph D. So you will see that it's just applying the same principle over time. We make you an expert in understanding, in as much as IELTS is not going to change. Let me clear my, this thing. Oh no. In as much as IELTS is not going to change this thing, how they structure their questions and all that, you are good to go just knowing how to do all these things. Let me clear what I've cleared my drawings. Okay, let's go on to paragraph D. Sorry, because I'm using laptop, I had to clear even more important things from my, from my screen, So sorry about that. Now, this says that theme parks are undergoing other changes too, as they try to present more serious social and cultural issues and move away from fantasy. Now, the more you you annotate all these things in your question paper. You are free to annotate. You are free to write anything on your question paper. It's your own. So the more you are likely going to find out the answer to the next question types, because the list of headings is always good to have it at first, because you get to understand what the passage is all about. You get to know key things, and you can quickly answer true, false, not given, and the other one. So if you spend more time on list of headings, if it appears, or paragraph information, you can leverage on the other ones. All right. So this one says theme parks are undergoing other changes too, as they try to present more serious social and cultural issues and move away from fantasy. So it's talking about theme parks. I'll quickly go to the last one. Those who are professionally engaged in the art of interpreting as they must hear demands of evidence and especially given the increasing need in the heritage industry for income generating activities. So those who are professionally engaged in the art of interpreting history is as good as saying experts, historians are thus in a difficult position because of the changes that they need to focus on more serious social and cultural issues. So here, there are two things, but it is tied to one thing. If you read this place, hold on. This development is a response, yeah, very good. Now, this development, this trying all the changes they are making to theme parks is, you know, I said this thing again, is a response to market forces. When you say market forces, it is and supply, okay? So there is competition in this market, as you can see from here. So they are changing because there is competition in the market for them to present more serious social and cultural issues, okay? Which has led to experts are now having to choose between, are they going to yield to demand for evidence or attractiveness? Okay, so which one is the best answer here? Now, if there is anything like changes which we have not chosen before to theme parks, if they mention theme parks, you might likely want to go for that. But here, there is the more tone is more on the competitiveness of the market and the response of experts to it. So let's look at commercial pressures on people in charge. Yeah, don't forget that while we were looking at this, we talk about financial constraint, we talk about anything that have to do with competition on people in charge. Mixed views on current changes. No. Interpreting the facts, no. The internal, no. This one, no. 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 All right. You agree with me that this make more sense?
Yes.
This is what they are actually saying, that this passage is all about commercial pressures on people in charge. Now, it's as good as coming back to make this statement the first one and link it to this one. It's as good as that. But in order to confuse us, they try to rearrange the passage. Okay? Let's clear that. This clearing I'm doing. All right. And then in paragraph E, I'll move on to that. I'll move on. Paragraph E. It could be claimed that in order to make everything in heritage more real. So I'm going to take notes of that. Yes. Okay. In order to make it, it could be claimed. There's a claim. Claim could be a view, suggestion, and all that. In order to make everything in heritage more real, historical accuracy must be increasingly altered. Okay. And they move on to example, blah, blah, blah. So historical, there is a claim, it could be claimed that all these things needs to be altered. Okay. Then they move on to say that similarly, no, this is just story. I'll go to the last one. And no matter how exciting the result, it would contain a lot of bias or something. Very good. People are joining and I have to also admit them. Hold on, please. Something is blocking my own hand here of saying, I'll move it to the top. All right. So, and no matter how exciting the result, it would contain a lot more biases than the presentation provided by experts. So I've read the first one, I've read the last one, okay? But the major thing here is that it could be claimed in order to make everything in heritage more real. This is quite important. More real to who? To the consumers. They need to make some increasing alterations. They need to make some changes, okay? But the major thing here is that they want to make everything in heritage more real. So now, how do I know that this is so I'm not carried away by every other information in this passage? I can look at what examples are they giving. For example, which type of example is this? So is depicted. All these things are pointers. Similarly, this one in that is shown. They are trying to make it more real. Everything in this passage is pointing to the fact that we are trying to make historic interpretations consumers experience. I don't know if you get that. So now, what is the reaction of experts, of historians? So professionals who make this, so they are now making interpretations in contemporary terms now. Now, such presentation tells us more about contemporary perception, that is our own current day perception of the world about the history, okay? And just reading through, so you are convinced about the answers and you are able to link this thing, practice them to, and you can walk yourself through to determine which answer it is. Someone is saying that, oh my God, but you don't have the time to do all this in high health. That is why you need to develop your subconsciousness to focus on what matters, okay? And you are not going to be dissecting things like this in the examination hall. You just want to, I'm sure I've chosen the right thing, and you move on, okay? Now, so we're just trying to let ourselves see what is behind high health reasoning. So the answer would be 3, interpreting. I hope this is, yeah, this is the only one. So let's look at it again. We've talked about this, is cancelled. I think we've talked about this, is cancelled. No point about this. They've done this for us. We've chosen this. This is not talking about reviews and suggestions. Now they are interpreting the fact, the historic facts to meet, they are making it more real in a contemporary way, rather than just seeing history as the life of our ancestors. Okay? Wow. Can we share our thoughts on this? I think that's the end of the list of headings here. And this paragraph F is just left for another thing entirely, another question types entirely. So I would like to hear your reactions in terms of chat, in terms of questions or muting yourself, you know. So let me hear your view about how you think you'll be able to do this on your own and what challenges this passage itself poses to you. Okay. I would like to see who is raising up their hands now. Okay. If Mr. I don't know if Mr. or Mrs. Ogunsumi Eho, if you want to tell us why you're, or Sarumi.
Well done, sir. You are
Okay.
highly appreciated, sir. But I'm not so convinced about the option we picked for
Okay, which one?
paragraph D.
D. Okay, good.
Paragraph D. I'm not so convinced about that option.
Okay, so I'm going to note it down, paragraph D. Okay, yeah.
D.
Okay.
D.
Any other person? Yeah, I'm going to put your hands down. Okay. Any other concern? Any other concern? Or you want to also mention that, oh, that paragraph D?
No. Well done, sir.
All right. Okay,
Well done, sir.
what about priceless tea? I think you raise up your hand after I...
Yes, I do.
Okay,
My
so any
own
question? Yeah.
challenge is that how to get the topic sentence in the
Yes.
paragraphs.
Okay.
That's my, if this exam and this one that you're doing now, how to get the topic sentence.
All right.
Because that number 28 question, I'm skeptical about it. My mind is telling me that it's...
Yes, your mind will be telling you this, and your mind, yes, that's true.
That's
Yeah, that is why we are
for
here.
all other
Okay.
questions, are well understood.
So
Thank you,
paragraph D, that's the first question. How to choose, how to identify. It's not that it's not there, but like they are amicable, like our people will say. Okay. And then I can see Ibrahim Abayomi. Oh, sorry, I just moved you again. Sorry. Could you please Ibrahim Abayomi, if you can hear me, could you please proceed with your question? And while we wait for that, I could see Adeni Jitoyin too. Could you proceed with your question? I've asked you to unmute. So this is the last question I'm going to take.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the lecture. Please, I would like you to expatiate more on topic synthesis.
Topic sentences, okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So let's start from in order of my preference, okay? And how that can work us to answer other questions. So what are topic sentences? That is the last question. What are topic sentences? And if we understand what they are, that can help us. So at the end of this lecture, I might look for materials on that can help us. And if necessary, if their grammar is too much, I can ask my other tutors to demystify it, or I could demystify it as well. So I'll take note of that. But this is what I would say. Just know that in any paragraph in English language is talking about one thing, which is a main idea. And there are other supporting ideas. Okay? That main idea is a topic sentence, the main idea in the passage. So I would go back to probably paragraph D now. So, in that way, I might have because you will have the opportunity of reading through, of watching this video again, okay? I'm going to clear all drawings, okay? So I'm going to walk us through paragraph D again and see how we arrived at that. So, and I'll tell us which other option we'll walk ourselves through how we cross out every other option. And don't forget, you just want to quickly answer. The answer is there. Okay, sorry, I lost my
Hello,
thought. I attended to something different. So now,
I'm sorry.
topic sentence is the main idea in the passage. Every other thing in that paragraph is just letting you, giving you more details about that idea. For instance, in your writing task too, they have asked you to talk about, do you agree that I'm just coming up with a question now. Do you agree that having computers in classes have made students to be lazy? You know, now you want to agree. Let's say you agree, and your main idea in that first paragraph is that computers don't make students to go don't make people to do more research. Now, I said computers. Now, don't forget that I'm just doing my own here. You might say, oh, but you should have said the other way around. So computers don't make people do more. Computers equal to less research. That is my main idea. Usage of computer has led to less research. That is my main idea. Now, to buttress this point, I may say that people use computers rather than researching and gaining intelligence and all that, they use it to browse shopping experiences. Now, I've talked about shopping experiences and all that. I can cite so many things there, okay? And that everything I'm talking about in that passage must not be cumbersome in making someone think it is something else. That is English language for you. So everything, the shopping experience, the major thing I'm talking about is not shopping experience. It's not any example I'm giving there. It's not people's reaction to computers. It is that usage of computer by students in making them more lazy has led them to doing less research than they would do if there is no computer. Okay. So part of the shopping experience is that it is, let me say, I'm writing something here. Shopping experience, let's research that without computers, people would have go to the library, which there is less distraction. So I'm just coming up with ideas. I'm just coming up with supporting ideas, like you would do in your writing task too. But whatsoever that main point is the topic sentence in that paragraph you're writing. Okay? Now, I understand that this paragraph D can be very confusing, yes, because you could have quickly talk about social changes. Yeah, okay. Theme parks are undergoing other changes too as they try to present more serious social and cultural issues and move away from fantasy. Okay. Now, and this is the other part that move us to what the answer we chose. Okay. Now the fantasy is all about the one, and the seriousness and the changes they are talking about was born out of these people in charge. They want to make money. They need to keep themselves in place. They need to make people come. Computer games and every other thing are attracting people. So rather than you talking about things that does not correspond to people's own experience, okay, they find out that not talking about things that are corresponding to contemporary perception today does not translate to bringing people coming into the museum or theme parks. You understand? Central point that led them to that. So now I will read through everything and walk you through between current reviews and suggestion. I think this is what you are talking about, or because I can't think about any other one that can be confusing there. I can't think of any other one that could be confusing. If you think there are, let me know. So now, the development in the changes that they are going to making more serious social and cultural issues, okay, is a response to the market. This is a pointer, okay. This development is all this seriousness they are now looking into and moving away from fantasy. Is a response to market forces. Okay, full stop. Let's leave it here. Market forces. Okay, now this passage is all about talking about the response of these people, theme parks, to the market forces. Okay, now, but is there anything like that? The last thing they mentioned, I don't want to read through because you're likely going to be confused there. Those who are professionally engaged in the art of interpreting history are thus in a difficult position as they must steer a narrow course between the demand of evidence and attractiveness, which is talking about everything they mentioned here initially, especially increasing need in the heritage industry. Heritage industry have captured all of them because they didn't just mention about theme parks only in this passage. They talk about museums. They have special, rather distinct role to fulfill. They are also operating in a very competitive environment. It's not just about theme parks only, talking about serious issue. They are talking about all of them are in a very competitive environment, okay? Now, especially given the increasing need in the heritage, all of them, for increasing income generating activities. If you look at it, it is not mixed views, am I right? It is not about interpreting fact. There is nothing here there. There is nothing here that has been done. There is nothing here. It is not this as well. Do you get me? How you can, even in the most difficult way, you can work yourself. It's like saying through yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You arrive at your answer. Do you get me? Because apparently, as well make this, assuming they didn't put this, and they talk about changes in theme parks, you might want to choose that. But then there is a more bigger picture than what is happening to theme parks. The bigger picture is that there is a response from the industry to the current situation. I hope I've not confused you the more.
No, it's clear.
It's clear, right? Okay.
It's clear.
So now, how to identify topic sentence in any passage? Just block your mind. There is one thing they are talking about here. And interestingly, in high health, it comes in paragraph, so, and list of headings. You have the opportunities of also walking through what has been mentioned here. I don't want to take our time more looking at them again. That's why we are still going to have opportunity of reviewing this with another passage again. The more you practice, the more you understand. But in high earth, you want to quickly read the first, and if what you are looking for is not in the first, you go to the last. Okay? And when you have done that, when you are sure you have found two things that look like it, interpret them in your own words and look for what looks like them here. Okay? Take my point. Take what I'm talking about seriously. And when you have found, it's likely you're going to find just one of what you are thinking about here in this place. That becomes your answer. That is at the lowest level of approaching IELTS. But with practice, you are going to understand by reading first and the last, you will get 80 to 90% of what they are talking about. You'll be able to take your answer. And in the most stringent situation, you may have to read through. But I can assure you that reading through is not a waste of your time, because it will help you in answering the other questions. Okay. Let's assume that I've answered the question. Yeah, I know. Practice you are going together, honestly. Okay, some people are chatting me. Okay. All right. Okay, someone is saying paragraph E is equal to 7, which is current reviews and suggestion. We have talked about, I don't know when you put this response there, but we have talked about why it is not that. Okay, some minutes ago. Okay, now let's move on to would you like to take some breaks?
Continue. No, let's continue.
Just 2 minutes.
Sir, let's continue.
Okay, we don't have the time, yes. Honestly, you have to break. You have to break for coffee or chocolate. Come on. All right. Because we all agreed, we are going to move on to the next question type. So likely I'm going to be fast here, not because I want to rush it, but because you yourself might be able to identify where the answers are. But definitely I won't be too fast. Yeah, that's why we are here. Let's clear. I want to clear these annotated things here. Annotate, clear all. All right, so we are answering question. These are very simple, honestly, believe me. Question 31 to 36. Question 31 to 36, and it's MCQs, multiple choice questions. So the best way to answer this question would be by you reading through this question first and don't get it twisted. Yes, it's very possible for you to get this question twisted. For instance, compare with today's music. Who is that? Compare with today's museums, those of the past, blah, blah, blah. So this is what they are talking about. In comparison to today's museum, what can you say of the museum of the past? The question is not saying, what can you say of the contemporary museum? So it's all about the museum of the past, because we are going to see how museum is now and what it used to be in the past, in the passage. So those of the past, and then it is a comparison. We are comparing it to today's museum. Now, option A says that, now, interestingly, multiple choice questions also comes in order. So you are going to find question 31 before question 32. Answer to question 31 before answer to question 32. Answer to question 32 before answer to question 33. Okay, because they want to save time as well. They know the whole passage itself is enough evil than twisting it around. Okay, so if you can find answer to question 31, you don't need to, if assuming I find it in paragraph D, I don't have to be looking for answer to question 32 up here. Okay, that's what it means. So now compare with today's museum. Those of the past are blah, blah, blah. I would rather go up. Okay. And I'll make some notes there. The conviction that historical relics provide invaluable testimony about the past. I'm looking for the past. I'm looking for currently. Those are the words I'm looking for. The past, currently, in the last decade, in the blah, blah, blah. So about the past, that's so good. So this is currently, okay, recently. So the past, about the past. So this is our focus on here now. Museum of the past did not present history in a detailed way. So I'll quickly read through, scan through this of the past. I've seen past, and until recently reflected, no. Yes, so I'm looking for you. Museum used to look, because I'm looking for past tense. Used to look. Okay. Okay. All the story I'm looking for, all the answer I'm looking for, I'm assuming it will be here. But I'm going to now be looking at it in line with what they have talked about. Did not present history in a detailed way. You look, quickly scan through, there's nothing like that. Were not primarily intended for the public. So I saw here, but not for the ordinary visitor. Okay, so I'm coming here, I'm saying this looks like it. Were more clearly organized. Did they talk about do much like storage, rooms of objects packed together in a showcases, good for scholars? Looks like they didn't talk about this, or looks like the opposite of it in the past. Am I right? Then they preserve items with greater care. I don't think there is anything like that. Okay, but there is a pointer here. Museum used to look, and some still do, much like storage rooms of objects packed together in showcases, good for scholars who wanted to study. Now, this is a distraction. Packed together in the showcases so that if you're in a rush, you want to pick, probably we're more likely organized. I don't know what can lead you to that or this or that. But now, not for ordinary visitor. This is clear, to whom it all looked alike. So compared to today's museum, those of the past were not primarily intended for the public. So the right way to do multiple choice question is to tick or cross. You say, did not present history in a detailed way. Do we see anything like that? You say, no. You say, this looks like it. Does it look more organized? Nothing like that was mentioned in the passage. There is nothing to tell us this in clear clarity, or it's just the opposite of it. But you can see that not for ordinary visitor. Wasn't intended for the public. So go with this. Okay, no question for now. We'll take question once we run through others, because you have opportunity of reading through the screen yourself to see how we arrive at the questions, at the answers. Okay. Now, Moving on to question 32. According to the writer, current trends in heritage industry. So recently, that's a current trend. So does it emphasize personal involvement, have their origin in York and London, rely on computer images, reflect minority taste? So you are looking for something close in meaning to what they have written here and not those words themselves, okay? And again, you are likely going to know what the answers would be, even from mere looking at IELTS question. It's not likely, they are not likely, because they are true writings lifted from magazines, from academic researches and all that. So it's not likely current trends in heritage industry cannot have their origins in York and London, you know, okay? And just quickly know what answers could be. Actually, honestly, I'll tell you. But let's look at what they have to say here. Recently, attitude towards history and the way it should be presented have altered. The keyword is in heritage display is now experience. This is very interesting. The keyword is now experience. Experience of what? The more exciting, the better, and if possible, involving all sense. Okay. Now, this looks like what they want us, because that is recently the current trend. So good example is where they mention New York, blah, the so-called heritage reenactment. Sorry, I will have to try that, but it's going to mess up my note. Oh God. Just so that I avoid questions in case people. Okay. Taking my time. Taking my time. I'm becoming boring, just let me know. So we said it's now experience, blah, 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 the more exciting, blah, blah, blah. So I want to make sure I calm down. No one can predict where the process will end. On so-called heritage side, the blah, blah, blah. Such development have been criticized. I'm just reading this thing again, because don't forget that I've gone through them in my list of headings, so I'm particularly going to know where the answers are or is likely going to be. So you don't want to waste time reading through again. You have done that in the previous passage, except for paragraph F, which we didn't get to touch initially. That is the one you are allowed to read through now. Just take it like that, please, people. So quickly scan through and pick your answer. So the key word here that they mentioned that looks like what they're talking about here is now experience. So let's look at the question itself. According to the writer, current trends in the heritage industry emphasize personal involvement. This looks like it. Have their origin, we've crossed this out ever since. Rely on computer images. So they talk about on so-called heritage side, historical event is increasingly popular and computer will soon provide virtually experienced reality experiences, which will present visitors with a vivid image of the period of their choice. So these are distractions. Rely on computer images, no. Reflect minority taste, no mention of that at all. So now let's look at why. You can see they changed the word here. Now, the keyword in heritage display in how they attract people now is in making it the consumer's experience. The more exciting it is to the consumer, the better, involving, particularly if it involves all the senses. So involvement, okay, the experience of the consumer. Are we together?
Yes.
All right. So that is how we came by this answer. It emphasizes The key word, emphasis, is as good as saying the emphasis in this industry now is personal involvement. You can see how they change it. The key word, the emphasis, okay? All right. Then in 33, it says, I'll clear that and move on. Clear. So I'll come here too so that I don't. Sorry. All right, so I'll make do with this. So number 33 says, the writer says that museum, heritage site, and theme parks. So you see that I could quickly, where did they mention that? I think here or here, I think here, but let's see. So yeah, I'm sure it's here. So the writer says that in preparing exhibit for museum, the writer says that museum, heritage site, and theme parks often work in close partnership. So I'll look for theme parks very quickly. Okay, yeah, this one, it's here. Let me go back to my annotate. Okay. The sharp distinction between these, okay, gradually evaporating, they are borrowing ideas, okay. So the writer in preparing exhibit, the writer says that museum, heritage site, and theme parks are often working. There is nothing like this in that passage, you know, we read it through the other time. Try to preserve separate identities, have similar exhibits, are less easy to, you can see that you can take your time to look through what it is, but I'll quickly go with this in an exam condition, okay? Are less easy to distinguish. The sharp distinction between them disappearing. Okay, so that is, but you have to walk through, if you are not sure, walk through all this. Did they talk about it? You are simply going to look at from paragraph C downward if they ever mention that thing. But usually they work by paragraph. Okay, usually they don't combine, they don't, it's either they leave out paragraph C and the next answer you are looking for is in paragraph D, you know, and you know, that's just it. It's most likely going to be in the next paragraph and all that, and not just having to read two paragraphs together. So just the key thing here is that we quickly look for museum, the keywords, museum, heritage sites, and theme parks, and they are here. If they are not in this paragraph, we quickly go to the next paragraph to it, okay? Now, in 34, the writer says that in preparing exhibits for museum, expert, so exhibit, okay, and then expert. Those are the keywords, and then expert. Mind you, in preparing exhibit for museums, okay, not for theme parks, I suppose, not for, so it's just museums here. So you want to make sure, so they're likely going to talk about exhibit for theme parks, they're likely going to talk about exhibit for other things they mention as well as museum. So, but that is what we are looking for, exhibit for museums. And then what experts should do. All right, this is very interesting. Yeah, this question is particularly interesting. So let's look for the word exhibit and museum. This is museums. Okay, these are exhibits. Okay. My battery is running low. How come? Sorry about that. So, is it likely there? So let's go to paragraph D. However, exhibit, okay, then you know we are looking for exhibits and we are looking for experts. So we couldn't find, we found exhibitions here. We are not convinced enough and we came down here just like I mentioned earlier, okay. So okay, yeah. So exhibit must be both based on artifact and fact, and attract, yes. Those who are professionally, that could mean the expert in the art of interpreting history, are thus in a difficult position as they must steer these. We read it before, okay? So those people we can say they are experts, okay? Because the next question tells me in paragraph E, okay, so that means my answer is here. So, and then let's look at what it has to say. Expert regarding preparing exhibit, expert should pursue a single objective. No, we didn't come across this. Have to do a certain amount of language translation. We are not quite sure, nothing like that. Should be free from commercial constraint. Now, this one has elements of what is in the passage, but do they mention should be free? So no. So just your mind is on what is in the passage, not what you think. So don't get it twisted. It's not what you think, it's about what the passage says. So I'm going to read again. The expert are thus in a difficult position, like a conflicting situation, as they must steer a narrow course between they have to just make decision. It's not a single objective. They are not free. You can see this is quite opposite to what is in the passage, okay? Because especially given the increasing need in the heritage for income gen. So this is the opposite of what is in the passage. So this is wrong, this is wrong. So the answer is they have to balance conflicting priorities. Now, how do I come about that? They are in a constrained, difficult position, and they must steer narrow course between these and okay. So that leads us to the answer. All right. Then to make our work easier, they told us that in paragraph E, the writer suggests that museum exhibits fail to match visitor expectation. Exhibits are based on the false assumption of professionals. Exhibits reveal more about present beliefs than about exhibits allow visitors to make more use of their imagination. So we're about to find that. So it is a subjection, a claim. Okay, even if they don't point to it, it could be claimed that in order to make everything blah blah blah, exhibits they need to be altered. Whatsoever we are presenting need to be altered. Okay. And these are just examples which I have nothing to do with. Now, there's one compensation professional who make, if they did not provide interpretations, now they need to make alterations to make it consumer's experience. If they don't make this interpretation, visitors are subjected to their own ideas, which their own assumptions. So visitors will do their own interpretations for themselves based on their own ideas, misconception, and this. And no matter how exciting the result, it would contain lots of bias than presentation provided by experts. So experts should provide, I'm just saying, should probably provide, you know, interpretations, okay? So let's look at what this passage says. To match visitors' expectation, is that it? No. Exhibit fail to match. Yeah, exhibits are based on the false assumption of professionals. Oh, okay. Exhibits reveal more about present beliefs than about the past. Okay, so such presentation tells us more about, that is, the interpretation they are giving, the experts are giving, tells more about contemporary perception, that is, the current view of the world, rather than about our ancestors. So the experts suggest that some museum exhibits reveal more about present beliefs than about the past. This look more like it. Allow visitors to make more use of their imagination. This also looks more like it, but as you can see in the passage, definitely they're going to use their imagination, but there is nothing like that here. It talks about their own interpretation of whatsoever they are saying, apparently. Or I would go with this. So going back to this, are based on false assumptions of professionals. Are they based on false assumptions? No, it's not. They are not false assumptions of professionals. They are just altering. It's a white lie. Sorry. So they are just altering whatsoever history says in contemporary perception, telling people about the present world rather than focusing on the past. Okay, option C is the answer. So it is better than you going for this. This is not in the passage. It is according to the writer, not us. Clear on. So, and then the passage ends. Now, in making sure that you know where you are going to, they talk about, quickly look at the end. The passage ends by noting that our view of history is biased because, so now for me, I won't want to read through the whole paragraph F, because the passage ends, then it must end with something. This notion is induced by the bias in its representation in museum and heritage centers. Now that takes me, which notion? Okay. The notion, the evidence in museums indicates that life was so much better in the past. Okay, is that the notion? So I will have to look up what he has to say, bearing in mind that there is bias in representation of museum and heritage center. So human bias is inevitable, blah, 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 in the representation of history has to do, now this is important, but another source of bias is the representation of history, as it has to do with the transitory nature of materials themselves. Okay, the simple fact that not everything from history survives the historical process. So this is, not everything survives. There is also misrepresentation of blah, blah, blah. Okay, the same applies to the furnishing and other content of the premises in a town like, for example, all these, for example, except there is an option that talk about leading, talk about this town there. In most of the houses, several families live together. I'm sure you're arriving at your answers already. In most of the houses, several families live together in circumstances beyond, yet, fine period rooms give only an image of the lifestyle of the upper class of that era, still pointing to the fact that not everything is represented, not everything survives from history, survives the historical process. Okay, so let's see what they have to say. The passage ends by noting that our view of history is biased because, the reason, another source, the reason for this bias in the representation has to do with the transitory nature of the materials themselves. So I have to focus on the nature of materials itself, okay? So, and what they have to talk about the materials is that not everything from history survives the historical process, okay? So that is the notion, okay? So we fail to use oh no, how could you say this? No, this is so wrong. How come? Only very durable objects remain from the past. Do they talk about only okay, they talked about this lifespan and the dwellings of ordinary people. We tend to ignore things that displeases us. Museum exhibit focus too much on local area. So the only thing that talk about the material here, as you would imagine that this is what, now, you know, it could have been obvious if they just lifted the words here, what we've seen, what matters in this passage, should have made it would have been easier for us to decide what our answers are. But don't forget, you still have to cross, it's not about your idea, you have to go through the passage. What is the reason behind our view of the history? This is because there is a transition, another source of that bias, transitory nature of the material themselves. What is that thing? Not everything in history survives the historical process. For examples, blah, 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 blah. To confuse us, they say fine period rooms give only an image of lifestyle of the upper class. So, but there is nothing like that. So you can see that only very durable objects remain from the past. They talk about lifespan because these are the things you get to see and over. So I want to believe that that also is clear. Can I get some? All right, I'm going to wait for our reactions regarding this, and definitely we'll go on a stretch before we take the last three questions. Probably just 2 minutes, so that the brain can function well. You can see I've started looking at something else, calling it something else. Coffee break. So I want to clear all drawings. All right, any reaction? Let me see our chat. Hope we are, it's normal if you are tired at this junction. Yes, we've been like 2 hours or so. Wow, like 1 hour 30 minutes looking at something, and I'm sure it's going to help us. So any reaction to are we tired?
No, well done, sir. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
Lord.
you.
I help.
Thank you.
We are going to conquer high health. It's concrete, not a mountain.
Amen.
Not a mountain. We must move forward, yes.
MCQ question is somehow confusing.
Which question?
The MCQ question, this particular
MCQs.
one.
Ah,
Yes.
which,
Yes.
really?
Yeah.
I don't watch one.
Uh,
Mhm.
I think they are quite easy. But
Yes, they are quite
mm,
visible. My
mm,
my sources in these MCQ type of questions are not consistent. At times,
okay.
if I may at times in a particular question like this, I may score all. In
Mm,
attempting other MCQ questions, I may score 2 out of 4 or 2 out of 5.
yeah, I
My
understand.
sources are not consistent. So maybe I really
Yeah.
need to know the steps to take in
Mm.
answering these questions.
Okay, so literally, those steps are that you need to read through, first note the question, what they are talking about, what they want us to find, and you need to prove it is not the type of MCQ that one answer is correct, as it were. You know, in nursing, then we used to do MCQ that you have to do true. You have to do true, false, false. You understand?
Yes.
And then true. You remember we used to have questions like this. So this
Yes.
is how IELTS MCQs are structured. Although at the end of the day, it's still going to be just one most appropriate answer, but you are likely going to find two appropriate answer, but you have to decide which one is most appropriate out of the two. Okay, so you have to work them through as true, false, false, true, and all that before you now decide on. And in some instances, we are fortunate that some of them are just not, they are not just inconsistent with the passage at all. So we can
Yes.
knock those off and focus on what matters. Okay, but you have to work them through like this. Yeah, so with practice, I would say, because there's no mountain anywhere. Yeah. um when that breakthrough comes, you will see that it will just flow. It will just flow. You just see yourself doing more. It's no crime that we spend more time in practice when our IELTS exam is not close by. I have an example of someone that used to, right from the day she started practicing reading test, she was scoring more than 30. Yeah, right from the first.
Mm-hmm.
So she could spend 2 hours, 3 hours on it, but she started scoring more than 30 right from the first time. Okay.
Okay.
But then towards exam, you won't believe that this same person started scoring 27. Someone that started scoring 35 and the confidence have grown. But towards the exam, because of time, she started scoring 27 and that built up anxiety. She still made her 7 anyway. But just look at what works best. Take your time at the first, when you start preparing. Then towards exam, you must start to take how best can I quickly under 1 hour answer.
1 hour.
I think that is where the issue is. The pressure of time and God, will I choose the right answer? So that confidence must just be there that this is what the answer is, and you move forward, attempt all question as you would do, Okay. I believe with practice, honestly, we are going to get there. And that doesn't mean if your IELTS exam is tomorrow. We also believe in miracle. They can give you questions too. It's just like that. Yeah. All right. Say more than that regarding that. I think people are tired, and but then we must do true
We are
force.
not tired though. I think it's the
Yeah.
network. Yes, I think it's the network. Like on my side, I was removed from the meeting. I had to reconnect back.
Oh, so sorry, so sorry.
Yeah.
We'll
So
make this video available. We'll see how we can break it in.
please,
Yes,
sorry, sir. Let's trash this through first, and some of us are writing tomorrow.
yes.
So I still wish you trash
Definitely. We are going to do
through
it.
first
Yes.
and not giving
Yes,
out.
so
Thank you very much.
we must do two fours. Two fours is
Like, excuse me, sir. Like
yes, yes.
the only tip, if I can say, that you
Mm-hmm.
gave us on tackling MCQ is just
Yes.
to read through the question.
Mm,
Are
mm,
you say because like the other speaker rightly said,
yes.
sometimes reading through the options
Mm-hmm.
before searching the paragraph
Mm,
may look so confusing.
yes.
But there are so many school of thought out there. Some says you should read the options, you should read everything before checking the paragraph. Some says you should even not read the question. So I just want you to enlighten us on your own idea. Just give us your own
Now,
idea. It will now be
honestly,
left to us to choose
yes.
whatever is convenient for us.
Mm. Honestly, tutors just want to make things easier, and in an attempt to do that, we tend to confuse people. Yeah, what works best, what works best for you is different from what works for the other person. But I would advise that
Yes.
you read, you take it as you especially if you have gone through the passage initially on the other question types. If you have not gone through it before, it's a different board. But it's not the first question. It came after list of headings, and we have gone through those paragraphs already. Do you get me? It comes as the next question to a question, because the first question type will definitely make you to read more than you would do. That is in my own experience. So in this example, you just have to quickly tick or cross the options in light of what you have read already. So I'm in essence saying that you may have to read through the passage, but assuming we have this as a type under this passage, I would rather focus on the important key what's
Keywords.
keywords. I will focus on the keywords, look for the keywords, and don't forget it comes in order. So I'll focus on the keywords, look for the keyword for question number one, then, read around it in light of what the options are saying, and pick my option. Do you get me? It's still like,
Yes, I do.
yes,
Yes, I
it's
do,
all,
sir. But
yes.
what, like I rightly said,
Mhm,
if I understand what you're trying to say, we
mhm.
are focusing on the keywords from the questions, from
Honestly, you don't have to read through the passages.
the options. That's what I want to clarify. I think we should
Honestly,
focus on the keywords from
the
the
keyword,
question, not the
yes,
options.
not the options. So, because the options, you are going to confuse yourself at the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
Focusing on the keywords from the question, the answer to the question is just one. So, why would you start from the answers?
It's from the question. Keywords.
Yes, the keywords from the question. No, 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 no. It's a very wrong approach to start from
The
the
option.
words of the option. No, no, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, it's like the cat before the horse, or what did they say? But I think I understand what you are trying to say. So
Yeah.
just give me 1 minute, if you don't mind, to ease myself. I'll be back.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I finished drinking tea. Oh.
Finish your class.
We are on break, Mom.
We are waiting for you to talk, Mentor Shade. We are on break. Oh, she's talking already. She's giving us tea.
I want to say good afternoon to everybody while on break. And I appreciate everybody in presence. I salute the courage of everyone that made conscious efforts, even when it seems that the network around where we are won't permit us. But we are sure more than conquerors, and I'm sure that God is happy with us. Special appreciation to Egbo Olubayo.
No. That's the little boy here. So I'm back. So let's quickly finish this. Mentor Shade will have time to. Yes. So now, just 4 questions on the true, false, not given. And we are still going to apply. The answers are here, not here. So the answer to this question, 0 to 40, are actually here. Okay. And I was just kidding when I said they are not here. Definitely, you have to look at the passage. But that's to reiterate that the answer is true if the statement agrees, if these statements agree with the information in the passage. This statement is true if it agrees with the information from the passage. Okay, having said that, this statement is false if it contradicts the information provided in the passage. This statement is if there is no information on this in the passage, or you find it difficult to say it is true or false. What that means in essence is still that there is no enough information from the passage to prove that it is true or false. Many a time, people, except we interpret the statement incorrectly, people get true right, but have issue with false and not given. Okay. All right. So I would address these 4 questions, pointing us back to this old issue. That's what we are going to do. And we agree on what the answers are. Question 36, I'll clear my annotate. Let me clear them. Question 36 says consumers prefer. Number 1, consumer in this sense, in this passage, Mentor Shade and every other person, can you please mute your... I may have to mute everybody. Just hold on for me. Okay, so now 37 says consumers prefer theme parks which avoid serious issues. So the keywords I'm looking for are, in the first place, because I've read the passage, I know there was a time they talked about serious issues and they talked about theme parks, okay? But the words and the consumers here in this sense are visitors, okay? And the words I have circled or put in brackets here are those who could change the meaning of this statement and who confuse me. So consumers prefer theme parks which avoid serious issue. Now, this statement is true if there is information that consumers prefer theme parks because it avoids serious issues. For this statement to be true, does theme parks avoid serious issues? Does theme parks avoid serious issues? So it is true if theme parks avoid serious issues. It is false if theme parks embrace serious issues. It is not given if theme parks, I don't have enough information to judge whether it is true or false. So bearing in mind that, do visitors prefer theme parks because it avoids serious issue? That is what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for theme parks and serious issue. I've seen it somewhere in paragraph C or so. Okay, paragraph D. So that is essentially what you want to quickly do. Okay, you want to look for words, theme parks, preferences, and serious issue. Those ones will lead us to the answers. So theme parks, they are undergoing this as they try to present, as they embraces more serious socio-cultural issues and move away from fantasy. So this is where the answer is. So you don't waste time on true, false, not given, especially if you have found the information. All you are looking for is the information, okay? And you are translating the meaning of the information, not synonyms, and not antonyms. It's not because I find a different word, different meaning to that word, not words. I'm looking for the whole statement. Don't forget that the instruction is all about statements, not words. So now going back to this, theme parks embraces more serious issue. That is what we have. But to prove to you that it has elements of consumers, this development, the fact that they, look at this word again, pointers, the fact that they embrace more serious issue is as a result of what they market, the response, what the markets want them to do. And that is all about the consumers. That's all about the visitors. Okay? We're visitors. Okay, so I've convinced you that this is the information we are looking for. So the consumers, consumer prefer theme parks that, now you will now want to, we have seen that consumers is involved here because it is also possible that this statement is not given. If there is no reference to the visitors who are consumers, it's likely that it is not given, okay? But now you have proved that the visitors are the ones making that, it's just because this is a response to the preference of the visitors, of the consumers. So consumers prefer theme parks which avoid serious issues will be false. Do we get it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
A bit confusing, no?
It's not confusing, man.
Oh.
Were you thinking not giving? Oh, yes.
Yes,
I think
I
Let's
was
know where the
thinking
problem
not
is
giving. I
actually.
was thinking not giving.
Why?
I
I will,
I did not
yes,
see
I will
where
definitely put not giving.
they made choices on how and where to spend, not that they avoided anywhere. There was no where they specifically said they
Hmm.
are going somewhere,
Okay,
but
let's
they
look
were
for
given
that.
choices.
So let's say that is what is, someone can spend 5 minutes on true false language, especially when it's so let's look for how they spend. Where visitors make choices on how and where to spend their free time. So there are let me read through. Heritage and do not have to invent. They have moved away from theme parks here. So you can as well just not look at what happens from here. So the information in this passage is from the beginning to this point. So where visitors make choices on how and where to spend their free time. It is a choice. Yes, I understand that. The passage did mention that but what the passage specifically tells us is that they they go to theme parks that present more serious socio-cultural issue. Yeah, I can read your mind that seems to be implied. And this is, we don't use implied meaning in high earth, especially also true false not given and all that. Yeah. So a lot of people can make mistakes here, even who think they understand the passage very well. Yes, yes, yes. People can make mistakes here. But when it comes to implied meaning, this is an implied meaning that at first I used to make these mistakes too. And today I still make mistakes regarding this. But what we are doing is that making mistakes on one or so, minimizing the mistakes. What we are looking for is to have 35, okay, and above. So even if we make mistakes, we mix that. Oh, I understand it contributes to the overall, how do we put it now, success. But I'm reassuring you that that's not a reason why you should lose confidence in yourself. But this, in true false not given, implied meaning when it comes to things like this is embedded in the statement. Some people could see it obviously, while some of us don't see it. So, okay, do you get me? But what the passage is saying essentially is that they visit as they try to present more serious and move away from fantasy. This development is a response to market forces. Although museums and heritage sites have a special, they are also operating in where visitors make choices on how and where to spend their free time. It is because it is their choices, okay? I'd like to move away from this for now, okay? I think this is the most confusing of the whole true false not given here, okay? Because it's embedded in it is the implied meaning. Okay, let me take note of that. How to implied meaning in true false not given. Okay. Yeah. I'll look for a material on that. So now let's move on to the next one. We say more people visit museums than theme parks. More people visit museums than theme parks. Now, I don't think there is anywhere we have such statement. I don't think so. However, exhibit must, no. Heritage, do not have to invent stories and recreate historical, blah, blah, blah. However, exhibit must be based on artifacts and facts as we know them. I don't think there is a place. I don't think there is a place.
It's not given.
It's not given. I'm just trying to prove
Paragraph.
if there is any information close to that.
Close to
Close to
more
people
people.
visit to museum, and I don't think there is any at all, because we've reviewed this, you know.
It was no.
There is no information on this. So once you can't find the information, it's likely not given. But if you can find anything close to it, I can't honestly. I think the only thing close to it is still this place.
Choice.
Choices, yeah, you know, it's still this place. They are operating in a very competitive where visitors make choices on how and where to spend their free time. So you don't have, they didn't mention anything like
that.
They just talk about, in fact, this is talking about the theme parks issue that they were talking about initially, honestly. Okay.
The bond of Laden has
We said
changed.
this is more people visit museum than theme parks, not given. So they are just trying to confuse us from all these things up there. So the boundaries of Leiden have changed. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, or Leiden or so. Have changed little since the 17th century. Okay. So in this one, we just look for names. Names cannot change. They can't paraphrase names.
Yes.
So we are looking, I think it was when they were mentioning examples. Where are you?
Paragraph F.
Paragraph F. So
Last paragraph, sir.
yes. So let's look at which information was provided regarding that town. I remember it was a town. So yeah, very quickly, in a town like Leiden in Holland, which in the 17th century was occupied by approximately the same number, but that's the number of inhabitants as are today. So there are fewer changes from the number of people there. Okay. Now, people lived within Walton in an area more than 5 smaller than the modern now. Okay, so that means that it used to be bigger, it used to be 5 times more than what it is by interpretation. Okay, so now this question now says, this statement says the boundaries of Eden have changed little since the 17th century. It has changed so much, right? It's not little.
It's not little.
5 times, 500%.
5 times more than lady.
Yeah, it's not little. So this is what made this statement to be false. It is true if they have said the boundaries of Leiden have changed severely, grossly since the 17th. Okay, grossly, very much, and all that. False if it has changed just a little, because it is 500. And it is not given if the boundaries of Leiden, there's no information about it changing here. Okay, or let's say they just mention in Leiden, they just mention the number of people living there, the same number of inhabitants as are today, and they went on to this place, not talking about boundaries. That's information about boundaries layout and all landscapes will be not given. So the answer to this one is false. Okay, that's straightforward. Is it confusing?
No.
This one is clear. It's not
It's very
confusing.
clear.
No.
Very, very clear.
Okay.
It's very
I
clear.
think that's a bonus, but you don't want to miss bonus of all things now.
Oh.
So museums can give a false impression. This will be very interesting. Museums can give a false impression, false view, perception of our life in the past. So it can give a false representation, perception of the past, of history. Museums can you know, so we look for representation or bias and all that there. So let's look for so museum can give a false impression of how life used to be. I think we read something like that. Yeah.
Towards the end of the
Towards the
comprehension.
end, yes.
A few lines before the
Yes, this place.
it says
So
the evidence in
the
museum
this one.
indicates
Yes.
that life was much better in the past.
So the evidence, so they are talking about the nostalgia feelings people have in going for exhibitions. So now, this is simply because museums indicate that life was so much better in the past. Okay? So for you to see that it's just, don't forget that the simple fact, we've read something like that talked about bias and all that. Okay? So, but another source, human bias is inevitable. False misrepresentation, false impressions are inevitable, okay? That is a pointer. And this tells us that the evidence in museums indicates that life was so much better in the past. So what this writer is saying is that it is not a true representation of the past. You understand? Museum is not a true representation of the past. True.
True.
They try not to come out straight, but you will know that. So let's look at this thing again. Let's apply it. It is true if the museum has given a false impression about the past. It is false if the statement contradicts, if the museum gives the right impression, nothing hidden at all, no misrepresentation at all of how life is. And it is not given if they haven't given us information about the perception impression museum gives about the past. So, do we have any other question regarding this? Apart from this question 37, I think this is the only one this is the only one that needs a lot of energy. Every other one, you can quickly go to the answer. You can quickly go to the answer on every other one. It's just that question 37 that you have to be careful of what to choose. I would like to take reactions, questions, and all that to this. Sorry, I think we lost some people probably due to questions, due to networks. or probably because some people think we might be too slow. I don't know. But it's just so that this is a class of so many people. The pace have to be right. Okay.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, ma.
May God bless you abundantly and reward you for this lecture. I
Amen.
just want to,
Amen.
I just want to, hello, I just
Yes,
want
yes,
to
yes.
pinpoint some things.
Okay.
To start with, true, false, not given that you have highlighted, like how convincing that first question 37 was,
Mm-hmm.
sir. Eh.
Yes.
So, like that kind of question. And I think if one finds a question that he or she is not sure with like that in the exam, it is
Yes.
better for one to skip it and come back to it if need be, if there is time. Let me say if there is time.
Okay.
But I really want you to differentiate the tips or methods of tackling true, false, not given from
Okay.
that of yes, no, not given.
Okay. Okay. So okay, yeah. So true false
Like
not
presently
giving.
now, I don't really
Okay.
have issues with true, false, not given. I
Okay,
don't really
yeah.
have it.
Yes,
But
yes.
yes, no, not given. I tend to tackle yes, no, not given the way I tackle true, false, not given. And
Yes.
like
Yes, yes.
they are not the
Yes.
same thing.
Yes, yes. So yeah. So there is a very, very tiny difference between them. In fact, a lot of people will say there is no difference. But the only thing is because I won't say that if you are not um, a native speaker, you find yes, no, not given a lot different from true, false, not given, but they are actually the same thing. It's just the tone of the passage. True, false, not given presents information and ideas and all that, and you get to see what it is. It's just information. Why yes, no, not given provide a writer's perception. It's just a writer telling you how this and that, how some people migrated to this place, and that person have his own, it's just like me talking about Nigeria politics, okay? It is my perception, they could present it like facts, like yes, no, not given, like talking about Nigeria politics. So if it is true, false, not given, it will be like you reading Nigeria politics, history of Nigeria politics from Wikipedia. They are going to give factual statements. You understand? But when it is yes, no, not given, it's going to be someone from who has his own perception, just dishing out his own perception about Nigerian politics. Do you understand? So they are quite different. So what you are looking for is you have just to block your ears from what you know, what you think about that topic. It is all centered around this person. It is all around what this person have to say. And then it is quite funny because the person is allowed to use much more grammatical blunders because it could mix up grammars. It could mix up different type of sentences. You understand? It could use complex sentences, simple sentences, and compound sentences. Is allowed to use that in yes, no, not given. Okay, because it could make use of all those column, dash, hyphen, and all that more, because it is his perception, he can throw it out the more. But basically, the way to answer it is you blocking your mind from what you think about that subject and focus on what the writer has said. It should have been interesting if I can show us a yes, no, not given, how it is quite different from true, false, not given. But you are still going to say the statement is, let's look for, let me see if I can find what they write under it, because it's still the same thing the same instruction. It's just, it won't be the same again. Let's look for any yes, no. I'll control find here. Yes. Oh no. Please set for one. Hold on. Okay. You can see it is yes if the statement agrees with the claims of the writer. Okay. It is false. It is no if the statement contradicts the claims of the writer. And not given because it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this. So the question will now come like this, and it is all about the writer's claim. And you block from, you just look for what the writer claims. Now, it is possible also in that passage, in that write-up, that he uses statement like, or some people believe that. You understand? You understand? But he will now come in with his own claim. He can say that, he can mention one big scientist in the field that says this, or that. But he will still make sure he pass his own claim. He makes his own claim across. So it is his claim, not whatsoever, nothing else, not your own, not every other person's claim. It is whatsoever that writer claims. Okay. Unfortunately, we won't be able to look at that today. We can just look, definitely you have the paragraph structures and all that. Okay. Oh, that's all I could say. Honestly, they are the same thing, only that it is a claim of someone, and there will be several claims. There will be claim here and there about what people think it is and what it thinks it is. You know. All right. I think so that we don't lose people interest, we can take any question and answer whatsoever, any other thing from here. Thank you for joining once again. Let me see. So I'm sure we that I'm sure we have looked at these things. So for people writing their IELTS very soon, I hope you can see the other screen. So it basically make sure you are now. I wanted to correct something you said earlier on, that if like that question 37, you can just leave it. I would say that you can choose an answer and asterisk it.
Asterisk, yeah.
Yes, please choose your own answer, the most appropriate, because no answer is zero. But if you try, you're likely going to get it. So choose your answer and come back to review it. Okay, yeah. So make sure you attempt all questions. All must be answered. Okay, all must be attempted. What else? And every other thing we talked about, honestly. Don't leave any question.
Thank you.
And answer all your questions immediately in your booklet for reading, please.
Yes.
There's no extra time to transfer into your answer booklet. So answer immediately, even the one that you are not sure of. That is why it's best to use pencil. You go back to erase, okay, what you are not sure. Even your writing, it's best to use pencils You erase whatsoever you want to erase, and you can feed in some other things in there.
Okay.
It's only in matching headings and few other ones that answers don't come in order. In most cases, the answers come in order. And you just
I don't use
the
machine
numerals.
learning.
Yeah.
Machine learning.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir. We
All right.
appreciate
All
you.
the best to those writing tomorrow. All the best to people. And please drop your questions on the group page. Let's, all the best.
Thank you, sir.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir. Thank
All
you
the
very
best.
much, sir.
Okay.
Go and drink water.
So I'm going to stop the recording. So